There are so many books from so-called gurus that make promises they can't deliver on, and you get excited for the prospect of finding a new way to reach people in your community, to bring them to church, and you're just left with a bunch of to-dos, or you're left with a half-baked piece of pie, and you got to go out and buy some more pie from the person. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but there's a lot of useless books out there. I'm going to share with you today the 3 best books you can read to not only grow your church, but become the best known in your community. That's why we're here for the 50th episode. Thank you for being here. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Best Known Church Show, where we show you how to 10x your reach with church marketing that will help you increase your impact, make more disciples, and become the cornerstone of your community again. This is for the leaders with an outrageous vision, because anything less would be an inaccurate reflection of our Creator. The ones who have unreasonable faith, because you know God works unreasonable miracles. And the ones who are relentless in the pursuit of your calling, because anything less would not make a good and faithful servant. If that's you, you're in the right place. Now, please welcome your host and guide on this journey to become the best known organization in your community, Justin Nava.
Welcome to the Best Known Church Show. If we have not met before, I take full responsibility for that. My name is Justin Nava, and I created Nava Church Marketing and the definitive church marketing method. And you're watching or listening to the Best Known Church Show, episode 50. We've done 50 of these episodes. It's taken us a year and a couple months to get to episode 50. And for everyone watching, whether you're a new person joining, whether you joined a couple months ago after we won the Spark Media Best Church Ministry Podcast of 2023, or if you've been with me for the long haul, there's like 7 people that have been watching since episode 1, and I appreciate every one of you. Today's value, right, that I want to really shout out. Actually, let me start this way. I've gotten some really good feedback about the Best Known Church Show. And when I started this, I wanted it to be something that I had full control over. I've been a part of several podcasts. The biggest one growing over 22,000 listeners and watchers for a church media podcast, which, by the way, if you're not subscribed, go follow the Church Media Creators YouTube channel or podcast. They're still putting out quality content. Dave and Curtis are doing fantastic work there. But after being a liaison and finding guests and interviews and, really kind of just trying to keep plates spinning, so to speak, I decided when I started the Best Known Church Show, I really wanted to, focus on our definitive church marketing method, and B, really just have it be a solo show, because I didn't want to have to worry about booking and dealing with, trying to find guests or whatever. As it happens, though, if you were listening 2 or 3 episodes ago, I had the fantastic Frank Viola on to talk about one of his books and how, the kingdom of God it can impact our communities and the 2 false kingdoms and a couple other false gods out there, and how church marketing or Christian marketing can be a form of evangelism. So if you haven't listened to that, go listen to that. And it was actually kind of refreshing to have someone that I can talk to and talk with and bounce with. And also talking to a few other folks, getting some feedback on the show. It became a little bit more of, we understand your process. We get it. You have a certain way of doing things. But maybe there's something that someone else is doing that might be a good fit. And, I am always going to be a proponent of I believe in our process. That's why that's all we do is the definitive church marketing method. And B, I also believe it may not be right for your church. In fact, today, Monday at 2:00 Central, I've had 3 calls with churches today, and 2 of them were not a good fit for our definitive church marketing method. And so I passed them along, referred them to someone that I thought would be a better fit. I'm a spiritual libertarian, but also a business libertarian to a fault, even some might say, where if I don't believe that we're a 100% match, I don't want any of this. I want you to go with who's going to serve you best. So to speak, my competition, if that's better, a do-it-yourself version, or, maybe it's us doing it, but it's us doing a portion of it because the full program maybe is too much for your church right now. Because if you do our full program, you're going to get 3 times the number of people, and that will break some churches. So we slowly ease into it and make sure that the organizational structure is there to handle an influx of new guests. Another one of the pieces of feedback that I heard was, I didn't finish my thought there, but a big piece of feedback that I heard, was, let's hear what other people have to say. So I appreciate you all for watching and joining me on this 50 episodes. So I'm going to do a little bit of adjusting in the next 50 episodes, and we'll see how that goes. So number one, this still will be a primarily solo focused show, but I know I have some client pastors that are doing some amazing work. I talk a lot about the church that has more people coming to their deliverance service than their regular worship service. I got another client whose church helped pay off $1 million of debt in their community, and they also bought a community center to help support the community and provide a daycare. I've got another church that's all about planting churches. I've got another church client that is making such inroads in their community, even on the crime rate of the community is high. No one dares step foot or do anything on the church premises because the church is making such inroads in that community. I've got some really cool clients, and so I want to bring those pastors on, but also, any other pastors that I see that are doing really good work and making inroads in their community, not only to be the best known, but also help bring the kingdom down to their community. So all that to say, hey, 50 episodes of me talking was great. Actually, I guess 49. But hey, if the opportunity comes along, I will be open to interviewing some pastors, church leaders, or other business owners that are seeing incredible results with helping their church become better known, or their client churches become better known in the community. Which brings me to this episode. We're going to take a step back. We're not going to talk about the definitive church marketing method today. I will mention it, of course, because that's just the cornerstone, and I believe it's the best overall encompassing, most holistic approach churches can take to promote their church, their community, to bring more people in to hear the gospel and be discipled. But I'm actually going to give you 3 other resources so you can see a major influence of the definitive church marketing method and why we do what we do at Nava Church Marketing. B, the foundation of our program. I'm going to show you a resource of where you can get started on your own. And C, what do you do with people once they come to your church? Because like I told someone today, our primary goal is to get people to your church. You've got to have an assimilation program to get them reconnected with you and coming back. So I've got a great resource on that. And those are the 3 books that we're going to talk about today. And they're books. I believe in hard copy books. I've got copies of these books. In fact, if you're watching on YouTube and you ever notice when I sway, you might be able to see right behind, I've got a stack of books. That's my 2024 reading list. And great. I love reading business books, ministry books, of course, marketing books. And so I want to share with you my 3 favorite that you need to read. I was going to say you need to read this for 2024, but honestly, these books I'm sharing with you are timeless. You just need to read them, period. You need to read them as soon as possible. Today's kind of value that I want to share real quick. If you don't know, I have these bracelets that have 6 values. 3 of them are pastorally based, and 3 of them are more action based, more for my team, and maybe church communicators that are implementing the mission and vision of the church through marketing. And today it's on outrageous vision, because anything we do needs to be outrageous. God gives us outrageous visions. Okay. Some people want to, make really great fences, make really great roofing, make really comfortable clothes. But God gives us the outrageous vision to plant in our community and change lives. For some reason, God has decided to co-author his redemption story using us to lead and shepherd if you're a pastor, or support the shepherds if you're a church communicator or another staff position. Co-author the redemption story and to be a part of the leadership of his bride. And I think that's just outrageous. No other religion really has that. In fact, if you even call Christianity a religion, which I prefer not to, but that's, if we'll put a name to it, that's the name we'll put into it. So anything we do, whether it's our mission or vision, it needs to be outrageous. And so today's core value really is to have an outrageous vision. You have to have an outrageous vision. A lot of churches are handicapped. A lot of churches stagnate because they do what's reasonable. They do what they've seen done. When the fact of the matter is, to really glorify God, I think we need to be outrageous and do things that only he can get the credit for. Not to get too personal in it, but we're going through that right now in my family, going through that right now in our business. And there's times when I'm like, God, why are we doing this? Why are we going through this? And I have to hold true to the fact that it's so that he can deliver us in a way that I can't say that I did anything or we did anything, but it was all God. And so that's kind of the direction we're going to head in the next 50 episodes. So let's get into the actual meat of the content. All that to say, thank you guys for being here. We are in a constant process of approval. One of my core values is always be changing. So, we're going to be iterating this, changing it to be even more helpful. Thank you for all of your feedback. Both positive, it's very encouraging, and also negative, it's very eye-opening because we don't know our own faults. So today I'm going to talk about the 3 books that have shaped my ministry, shaped my business, shaped our services. And I'm going to start with the best book on church marketing. And it's not even a church marketing book. I had read this book years ago, and it wasn't until I was studying some Dan Kennedy resources and reading some interviews of his, and he had mentioned this book. And he said it was the best church marketing book ever that was never about church marketing. And I read it again through the lens of church marketing, and I realized Dan Kennedy, which by the way is one of the world's greatest historical copywriters and trained some of the best copywriters of today. This book is not a church marketing book, but it is the best book on church marketing. And when you read it, you'll get an understanding of how to view promoting your church and how to view church marketing really, okay? And that book, and I've got a crisp new copy here because I let someone borrow it and they never gave it back. And I honestly never really asked for it back. I just ordered another copy. That book is The Purpose-Driven Church by Rick Warren. This book is the best church marketing book that's not actually about church marketing. And there's a really big key thing here. All right. Number one, it's one of the largest selling church growth, church purpose-driven books out there. Okay. But number two, it really addresses the problems with church marketing. See, church marketing is often seen as we just want to promote our church. We want to tell people about our church. We want to get as much information out there as possible. We want people to know about our mission and vision. And if they know that, they'll come in and they'll know what to expect. But really, what church marketing should be is communicating how your church can serve and impact the lives of people. Okay, because no one comes to a church because they got a great mission and vision statement. All right, if they do, they're usually going to be problem makers because they're coming in because they either want to change it or they want to live it out in a way that they're going to be kind of micromanagers and they're going to be stepping on some toes. Okay, and that's not always a good thing. What the purpose-driven church does is it helps clarify how to position your church within your community, within your potential guests, within your congregation, and within your leadership team. And I don't have it earmarked anymore, but it does a really good job. Rick, Pastor Warren, and I know some people are probably turning this off right now because I'm mentioning Rick Warren, but it's still a good book either way. He's got the circles of commitment. And this is kind of where I get the term community, where I want you to be the best known in your community. That's the outside circle, right? And then you've got your crowd. Those are the people that know your church, that might follow your church, but aren't actively engaged in your church. Then you've got your congregation. Then you've got your committed, right? That's your lay leaders. And then you've got your core. That's your leadership, right? And it might not even be all of your leadership, okay? Knowing that, and you recognize how differently you need to communicate your church to serve people in those different phases of their lives, you really see how a lot of church communications and a lot of church marketing is focused really on the core and the congregation and trying to get the community to speak in a language of the congregation that doesn't translate. And that becomes a problem because you end up sounding like outsiders, or you make people feel like outsiders, and you end up sounding like a country club. Right? In the 90s, I feel like every pastor used that term to describe how churches should not be. We shouldn't be like country clubs. And yet, fast forward to 2023, going into 2024, we just sound like country clubs. And so Purpose-Driven Church is a fantastic book to not only reevaluate your church and how you need to be purpose driven and figure out what that purpose is, but also how to communicate that purpose. Because once you figure that out, right, you're going to more easily communicate your church in a way that's going to get people's attention and capture their attention in a way that they can't really ignore it. Because if you've been scrolling through social media at any point, there are some videos that capture your attention and you're like, I want to scroll away, but I can't. I want to see what happens, right? TikTok is great at this. That's why you watch a video for 30 seconds to a minute and you're like, when's it going to happen? When's the meat come? But I don't want to miss it, right? And so just like I told someone on a call this morning, you know, your new mission and vision are great, but people aren't going to come to church because of your mission and vision. And I asked his favorite restaurant, Chick-fil-A, couldn't name the mission and vision of Chick-fil-A. I asked his favorite store. He said, I can't even remember the favorite store, but he couldn't tell me the mission. I couldn't tell you the mission and vision of my favorite store. Okay. I could barely tell you the mission and vision of the greatest tech companies, biggest tech companies in America. And that's only because I had to study them to create my mission and vision. Okay. You don't even know my mission and vision, and yet you're going to take advice on the top 3 books you need to read ASAP. Okay. Which, by the way, my vision is to see 1 million churches become the cornerstone of their communities. And my mission, or at least the mission of Nava Church Marketing, is to equip churches with done-for-you marketing to help them reach more people in their community and become the best known. Okay? So knowing how to translate that into the purpose your church serves and then communicating that to your community and your congregation, okay, and your crowd, so to speak. I call them your potential guests because they're following you, but they're not really actively engaged. That is key. And so the best church marketing book you can ever read is actually The Purpose-Driven Church by Rick Warren. Book number 2. This book, I unfortunately, because I loaned it out and I don't remember who I loaned it out to, so I can't ask for it back. If I loaned you this next book, please return it because I am missing it. And I feel so embarrassed that I don't have I'm going to go order another copy. And that is Building a Story Brand by Don Miller. And I hope I got the name right. It's Building a Story Brand. I think that's the name of the book. Yeah, Building a Story Brand. That's the book. Okay. So, Building a Story Brand by Don Miller is a fantastic book. Now, it's not written for churches, but churches can use it. Okay. And Story Brand, if you don't know already, is a framework to better understand how to communicate your church in a way that centers around the person, the potential visitor or your congregation, rather than focusing on the organization itself. Okay. Because no one's going to come to church. You've heard me say this. No one's going to come to church because they understand what you say. They're going to go to church because they feel understood by what you say. And the Story Brand framework helps frame your church and how Jesus Christ can save that person and redeem that person and rescue that person within the context of your church, but in a way that will resonate with that person. Okay. Because you don't go to Chick-fil-A because they make the best chicken sandwiches. You may not even, Popeyes might have the best chicken sandwiches, but you're not going to go there because they have the best chicken sandwiches. You're going to go to Chick-fil-A because there's something about the way they do things that resonates with you. Okay, it might be the way that they always say my pleasure. It might be the way they say yes ma'am, no ma'am. It might be the values that they hold traditionally as a company. Okay, it might be because their kids' menu is great and your kids love it. But it's something about you that draws you into your favorite restaurant, which I don't know if it's Chick-fil-A, but hey, I haven't met many people that don't like Chick-fil-A. Whatever it is, it centers around you. Okay. You don't go to Walmart because they have the lowest prices. You go to Walmart because they have the lowest prices you can find or in your community. There's definitely lower prices somewhere else. You're just not going to look for it because Walmart is convenient. Convenient for who? Convenient for you. Okay. By the way, you can't tell me the mission and vision of Walmart because that doesn't matter to you. Right. So Building a Story Brand, that book will walk you through the Story Brand framework, and you can, for the most part, do about 20% of the work that gets you 80% of the way there, so to speak. You know, the Pareto principle, is that the thing I'm thinking about? You can walk through that and you can get a better sense of who your church is in the context of your city and get an idea of the language you need to use in your communications. And yeah, also on the stage as well. I think it helps with what you say on the stage and helps you communicate in your church that becomes understandable and relatable and more easily digestible to make it easier for someone to come into your church, because they're not coming into a place where they'll be discipled to make disciples. That doesn't make any sense to them. Okay. They're going to come into a place where they can belong and work out their faith. They're going to come into a place that will equip them to share their faith with friends and family. They'll come into a safe place to discover Christ. Whatever that language is, right? They'll come into a place that's going to help them break free from what's holding them back and live better and love better. Okay. They're going to understand your church in the context of where they want to be in life. Okay. In the context of what they're going to get as a benefit transformation in their lives. And they're also going to understand your church, how it's going to help them avoid the pains that they keep finding because they keep chasing worldly solutions for spiritual problems. You're going to learn through the Building a Story Brand Building a Story Brand book, how to communicate your church along that road. Okay. And it's the first thing we do with any client we bring on for the definitive church marketing method is we create a story brand framework for them. So fantastic book. Can't recommend that enough. I wish I had one to show you in person. The last book I'm going to reference has been my favorite book of 2023. This book that I'm about to share with you is going to be a total game changer, but it's going to make you a little uncomfortable. It's going to recommend a few things that you probably disagree with. Okay. And I'm not saying you should do what you disagree with. I'm saying you need to consider things that you disagree with. There are a couple things in here that I would not even do in my own church, but I would adapt them to work well within my church. And this book, when I recommend it to clients and they implement even half of the assimilation processes in here, they see more people coming back, which is good for me because, I don't want to send people to church and get them turned away or to get them to feel awkward. I want to send them to a church that's going to be welcoming and ready to receive them and have a plan to nurture them in their spiritual walk. That makes it easier for them to come back. And so the book that I'm talking about is by Nelson Searcy. You see me quoted on Twitter a lot, and that book is called Fusion. I've read this book twice, and I still don't quite understand why there's a rubber band ball on the front. But Nelson Searcy Fusion, you can just see how many earmarks that I make in this book here. So many notes that I like to keep. And I recommend this. And there was even a season when I would just send this book to new clients because I think it's such a good book. Like I said, there's no point in trying to grow your church and bring more people to your church if you're not ready to receive them and you don't have a plan for what to do with them. Okay. Because if you don't plan to grow, chances are God's not going to send you people to grow your church. That's the way Nelson puts it, right? A funny thing happens when you prepare to receive new people. God sends you new people. And in fact, this book is one of the reasons why if you don't have a definitive assimilation program, if you don't have a plan on what to do with your new guests, I don't work with you because you got to be ready to, if I'm going to send you 20 people in a month that you would not have gotten otherwise, you need to be ready for them. And so what I love about Fusion is how Nelson Searcy puts hospitality in the perspective of a biblical organization, right? Because any organization wants to be hospitable, right? We know the hospitality industry is one of the most biggest industries in the world, but yet churches need to go a step further and be even more hospitable to our guests because there's a lot on the line. And then he goes into first impressions. He goes into follow-up. He goes into how to get the second visit and then how to turn that second visit into ownership and then how to turn that ownership into membership and then turn that membership into lifelong discipleship. And I think it's a really good book. Every church needs to read because it's going to give you some ideas, some really good ideas and some really good practical implementation that you can use for your guest ministry, greeter ministry, first impressions, whatever you want to call it. In fact, there's even, I think this book has the most of any of the ones that I recommended, scripts, so you can just copy paste into whatever program you want to use to get your guests to come back, right? And can't recommend Fusion enough. And by the way, when you listen to this, I realize I didn't put any links in the live description, but if you're watching the playback, I'll have the links down below where you can just go and add them to your cart and get the books sent to you, or you can get them on Kindle. As you can see, I prefer physical books because it just holds my attention. If I do an audio book, I have to listen to it like 3 times, and even then I retain like less than half of it. But these books, Purpose Driven Church, Building a Story Brand, and Fusion. Okay. Purpose-driven church is going to help you realize how you need to see your church in order to communicate your church. Building a story brand will help you understand what words to use to get people to pay attention to your church and take a next step with your church. And then Fusion will tell you what to do once people actually get to your church, how to create a hospitality ministry, how to prepare to grow your church. And these 3 books, I think if you only read 3 books, or if you're like, I just keep reading stupid, boring books. I keep reading books that just tell me to buy a program. That's not what these books are. These are complete books within themselves. Yeah, you could go and get a story brand certified consultant after you read Building a Story Brand. Yeah, you could get Nelson Searcy's complete assimilation program. But these books do stand on their own, and I highly, highly, highly recommend them. This is dead time. You got to love dead time. I just want to emphasize just how important these books can be in your church and positioning your church to reach the community. Because you probably heard me say it. I'll say it again. If people don't know about you, they can't go to you. Okay. And if your church stays silent, or if you stay irrelevant and unrelatable, people are going to go to hell because you're not giving them anything to grasp onto. You're giving them a ladder with rungs that are too high to reach, or you're giving them somewhere to go that they just don't feel comfortable going to, right? And it's comfortable, right? It's uncomfortable to go to a new church already. We need to make it as welcoming as possible while still maintaining, yes, you are a sinner and Jesus Christ came and died for you, and you need Jesus Christ. You can't keep living in your sin. That's already an uncomfortable situation to get into. But there are people hungry for a gospel-centered church. They wouldn't say they're hungry for a gospel-centered church. They're hungry for change. They're hungry to improve their family. They're hungry to grow. They're hungry to stop being sick and tired. They're hungry to be healed. They're hungry to find community. They're hungry to make friends. They're hungry to make new relationships. So you have to figure out your church. How do you translate to speak to them in a way that captures their attention and draws them in so they can realize what they really need is Jesus Christ? And the way to experience Jesus Christ and be discipled is in the context of your own church. That's what these books are for. They're not to make you feel good. They're not to give you a swipe file. They're not they're barely enough to give you ideas. Okay. These books need to give you a plan. I never want to give you an idea without giving you a way to implement it. That's what these books do. All right. And speaking of, okay, I appreciate you watching or listening for this long. And if you haven't already, go to navachurchwebsite.com. Link is in the bio, or link is in the description below. Okay. And get the framework, because I'm not just going to tell you what makes a good website. I'm going to give you the framework you need for your homepage to make a positive first impression and get more people clicking through your website. And you don't have to buy any new software. You can use the website platform, whatever you subscribe to right now. It's the same thing we use that helps churches within a few months get 3 times more people clicking through to learn about the church and to plan a visit. navachurchwebsite.com. Thank you all for watching. This was a little bit of an off-the-cuff episode. Normally, milestone episodes are huge. I would rather spend my time focusing on my clients. It's report week, so we're digging into reports, finding out where the gaps are, what we need to improve, what needs to change, what needs to be iterated. And on these weeks, I just don't have as much time to put towards this show. So this was a little bit off the cuff. I appreciate you for hanging out with me and sticking with me for so long. Go to navachurchwebsite.com so you can get more people planning a visit to your church. Subscribe. I appreciate all the feedback I've received so far. If you listen in Spotify, you can leave feedback there. You can leave a review on iTunes. You can leave a comment on YouTube. God bless you all, and I will see you all next week.
That's going to do it for today's episode of the Best Known Church Show with Justin Nava. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated on the latest news, strategies, and resources that you need to reach 10x more people and become the best known in your community. To send us a message or leave a voicemail for Justin to be played on a future show, visit thebestknownchurchshow.com. And if you'd like to work with us so you can focus on your ministry, give us a call at 832-861-7654. Until next time, stay outrageous, unreasonable, and relentless.